The next concept is probably the most exciting concept on this entire program. I'm going to teach you how to create infinite time. The way that you create infinite time is to measure time in terms of results per hour, not minutes per hour. And this is the most powerful time management concept that I have ever discovered. And this is an original idea that I came up with that has forever changed my life. Here's the concept. Most everyone believes that time is fixed and limited. Most people measure time in terms of minutes per hour or days per week as an example. When you measure time in this way, it is true that time is fixed and time is limited. A different way to measure time is in terms of results per hour. And when you measure time in terms of results per hour, it creates new possibilities. Here's why. When you measure time in terms of minutes per hour, you're dealing with two fixed variables. A minute is a fixed amount of time, and an hour is a fixed amount of time. When you measure time in terms of results per hour, the hour is a fixed amount of time, but the results are varied. Here are some examples. Let's say that you set appointments over the phone, and it takes you 8 hours to set 3 appointments. Your ratio in terms of results per hour would be 3 appointments per 8 hours. And let's say that you talked your brother into calling for you, and he set 3 appointments. You now received 8 hours of result with no time invested. Thus, time has become infinite. Getting someone else to do the work for you is just one way of applying this principle. Here are a few other examples. You send out a group email to 6,000 people. Let's say the email that you send takes 20 minutes to create, and the email is sent to just one person. That would make your result 1 email per 20 minutes. Now you take that email and send it out to 5,000 people. You now receive 20 minutes of results times 6,000 people equals 2,000 hours of result for just 20 minutes of effort. And again, back to the example of creating this audio program, 12 hours of time invested will produce thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of result. I have an ebook on my website, 21 Ways to Close More Sales Now. When someone comes to my website, ericlofholm.com, they're able to download that book, and it's a book that I wrote 2 years ago. And they're able to receive the benefit of the information contained in that book, and it's all done electronically. In fact, in this very moment, as I'm speaking into the microphone, there's probably somebody on my website downloading that ebook for free. And the customer is receiving value from that information from work that I did years ago, and I'm able to collect their email address to go back to them for future marketing opportunities. So it's win, 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 win. But here's what's amazing. It's all happening with technology. I'm not there responding to their email, and it all happens instantaneously. It is so powerful when you look at ways of applying this concept. Another way is just somebody viewing my website, looking for additional information about my company, and they're able to research the different programs and services that we provide. Yet they didn't have to make a phone call. They didn't have to speak to anyone live. They were able to do it from the comfort of their own home, and in some cases able to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning, at 3 o'clock in the morning, from some country across the world. That is the power of creating infinite time. Another example of this is if you were training a new employee. You might personally spend 8 hours training that person. So now you've invested 8 hours of training, and you're going to get 8 hours of training result. Well, let's say that you train 3 people instead of 1. Now for your 8 hours invested, you will receive 24 hours of training result. Now let's say you videotape the training. In addition to training the 3 people, let's say that 100 people were able to watch the 8-hour video. Now you'll receive 824 hours of result for the 8 hours that you spent training. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that powerful if you think about it? If you're a person that does training, did you audio tape or videotape the training and have that training to be used for future trainings? That one single idea produces 824 hours of future result. The 24 in the present with training and 800 future hours. There are thousands of ways to apply this concept to your life. The more you think about creating infinite time, the more ideas you will be able to come up with. By mastering this principle, I get over 200 hours of result per day. I have 16 people that work for me full time, plus all the leveraged benefit that I get from my ebooks, from my websites, from all the marketing I do, from all the audio tapes and videotapes that are out there from the clients that I've had the privilege of speaking and training to. Every single day I wake up knowing that I'm going to get 200 hours of result. But when I started my company, it was just me, and I wasn't getting 200 hours of result. How I was able to produce that result is I understood the concept of infinite time. And then I began to develop strategies to utilize the concept. As you're listening right now, you might go, well, Eric, you know what? That sounds like a fabulous concept, but I'm not really sure how to apply it in my life. Well, for the purposes of this program, I wanted to introduce the concept and introduce the principle of creating infinite time. It's measuring time in terms of result per hour and looking for additional ways of producing benefit from investing time once. Your brain works like a computer. Whatever question you ask yourself, your brain will produce an answer. So begin to ask yourself the question, how can I use the concept of infinite time? And the answers will begin to come to you. You now know that concept, and you have that strategy literally for the rest of your life. Now, at the beginning of the program, I said one of the time management truths is that we all have the same amount of time daily. And I do believe that that is true, but you can also look at it in a different way. And the different way of looking at it is this. If a person is independently wealthy and they don't have a job, they don't have to work because they don't need the money, isn't it true that that person probably has 8 more hours a day than you do? Assuming that you work each day 8 hours. So yes, it's true you both have 24 hours in the day, but in this example, he or she, because they're independently wealthy, they have an extra 8 hours a day to work with. So I want you to begin to think about, how can you free up time? Is it eliminating those runs to Starbucks? Is it hiring a babysitter? Is it hiring an assistant? Is it getting a gardener? Is it eliminating commitments that you have in your life? How can you free up time? Or how can you create a situation where you have passive income coming in to where you don't have to work as many hours? Consider this example. Let's say somebody makes $50,000 a year and they work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks out of the year. What if they could figure out a way on how to make $50,000 in passive income without having to work? Isn't it true that that would free up a year of work activity for them by figuring out how to create $50,000 in passive income? Now you might say, well, Eric, that's impossible. How could I possibly do that? The way that you do it is you think. I want to introduce this concept to you that yes, it is possible. It is possible for you two to create infinite time, but it's going to require that you think. Here's an extreme example of what's possible through infinite time. Bill Gates has over 40,000 employees. Assume that they all work 8 hours per day. Bill Gates receives 320,000 hours of result per day, not counting the other companies that he owns and all the things that his investments do for him. The next idea I'm going to share with you, you've probably heard the expression, it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. Well, that's only partially true. Because oftentimes, yes, we do want to find ways of working smarter, and that is what this program is about, teaching you specific strategies, ideas, and techniques to improve you in the area of time management. But sometimes, in addition to working smarter, we want to work harder, we want to work longer. The strategy is longer, harder, smarter. What I mean by working longer is literally working longer hours. Some people should be working 8 hours a day, and they're only working 4 hours a day. And I wouldn't say to them, it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. I would say, it's about working longer. You need to put in a full 8 hours. To work harder means to be present while you're working. Because isn't it true that you could be at work and physically be there, but not really be there? Like you're not getting anything done? Well, working harder is about being present while you're at work. And then working smarter is finding more intelligent ways to produce results, like the 80-20 rule. Begin to think of ways to work longer, harder, and smarter. The next time management idea is consistency. And consistency is just as powerful in time management as it is in exercise. I want you to think of this example. Let's say that you want to get in shape. So you made a decision that you were going to work out 10 days in the next month. And so here's your strategy. You go, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work out the next 3 days, and then I'm going to take a week off, and then I'm going to work out 6 days in a row, and then I'm going to take a week off, and then I'm going to work out 1 day, and then I'm going to take the last 6 days of the month off. How would your results turn out? Yeah, they wouldn't turn out very good, because a lot of the results in exercise is consistency. It's day in and day out doing what it takes to follow through on your exercise program. And time management is very similar. What I would suggest to you is just every single day, be consistent in planning your day. When it comes to producing results, consistently is one of the most important success tools. Apply consistently in your time management. How much closer to your goals would you be if you consistently planned your day on paper before the day started? The next strategy is an example I've already mentioned previously, and it's to make a list. Making a list is probably the simplest of the ideas that I'll share in this program, but do not underestimate the power of this idea. I make a list virtually every single day, and it is a simple, stupid strategy that has increased my results by thousands of hours since I learned it. As I stated earlier, every time management guru I have ever studied always says, work from a list, and if you do so, it will increase productivity. You can create a list on a piece of scratch paper. You can create it in a fancy day planner. The most important thing, like Nike says, is just do it. If you haven't been making a list, you're not alone. As Alec McKenzie said, only 1 out of 10 people make a list. Now here's an advanced time management strategy that will help you every single day. So let's say that you agree, and here's what people say to me, Eric, should I make my list at night or should I make my list in the morning? It's a common question. My question to you is, when would it work best for you? Are you most productive and effective if you make it at night or if you make it in the morning? And I would also say, it doesn't really matter when you do it, just do it. If you plan on doing it every night and you don't, just simply do it in the morning. Well, let's say that you didn't create your plan and it's now 12 noon. Just because you didn't create it at the beginning of the day doesn't mean that you can't do it now. So I want you to know that you can do your list in the afternoon if you forget to do it in the morning. I also want you to know that you can do more than one list a day. Okay, listen to me very carefully, because I don't ever recall ever coming across this idea in any book or audio tape that I've listened to, any time management seminar that I've been in. Make your list in the night before or the morning, and then at noon, review your list and revise it, update it, make a new one if need be. There are times when I'll get home 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, after I spend some time with my son and my wife, and I go into my office and I begin to work again. I'll create a new list. What am I going to accomplish over the next 2 hours tonight? You can make several lists during the day. And I also want you to know that you don't have to plan just one day at a time. You could sit down and you could create a written plan literally for the next 2 weeks. I would encourage you to have the plan written on paper before the day starts. But why not plan out for the next 2 weeks? And I'll often do this on Sunday. Sunday night, I call it my hour of power. During that hour of power, I will identify all of the outcomes that I want to accomplish for the week. Make a decision today to develop the habit of creating a written list. Habits are extremely important because habits determine up to 90% of our behavior. Habits, you can have good habits or you can have bad habits. And a bad habit will be not planning your day on paper before the day starts. And maybe prior to listening to this program, that was your habit. But make a decision today to establish a new habit. Here's a simple strategy to teach you how to develop the new habit of planning your day on paper before the day starts. Number 1, recognize that it's a good idea. Number 2, make a decision to plan your day on paper before the day starts. Number 3, it takes discipline, focus, and effort. And you do this for about 21 days. And at the end of 21 days, It will become a habit, and you'll now have the habit of planning your day on paper before the day starts. And I want you to imagine what that would mean to you in your life and your production. If you began every single day for the rest of your life with a written plan, make that decision today to write your plan down every day before the day starts. The next time management idea is block time. Block time is a block of time like from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock that you focus on one activity or one project. A salesperson might block 2 hours to make prospecting calls. A parent might block time to make dinner. Other examples of block time are time for church, time for exercising, time to plan your day, time for holding interviews. We do interviews from 3 to 5 on Mondays. Time to read for 15 minutes before you go to bed each night. The reason why block time is so important is because oftentimes people will make this statement, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, but they don't schedule it. They haven't identified the specific time that they're going to go to the gym. Remember this, never forget what I'm going to tell you right now. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. As I'm speaking into the microphone right now, I had this recording time blocked from 12 o'clock until 6 o'clock, and there was nothing else on my agenda during that time. I had a set time that I was going to do it, and it was scheduled. And because of that, I'm here today. I use block time and scheduling virtually every single day. I make an appointment with myself. I put it on the calendar. Block time is a powerful strategy. If you haven't been using block time in your life, make a decision today to add block time to your baseline. It's one of the simplest, most powerful time management tools and strategies that you have access to. What activities could you be using block time for? Make a list right now of 5 activities that you believe that you could use for block time. The next time management idea is called chunking. And chunking is another simple, powerful tool that will save you time. Chunking can only be used effectively, though, if you have a written plan. Chunking is where you look at your activities for the day, the week, or for a project, and look to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. For example, if you need to go to the grocery store and you need to go to the dry cleaners, perhaps the dry cleaners is located inside of the grocery store. So you do both activities at the same time. Or if you're a salesperson, you could ask for the order and ask for referrals during the same sales presentation. A couple trying to get into shape and also wanting to spend quality time together might go on a nightly walk together. There are thousands of ways to apply this concept. Here is one simple way to do it. I call it the chunking question. Look at your list of what you need to accomplish for the day. Look at each action item and ask, what could I chunk this activity with that would add value? The more you ask the question, the better you will be at chunking. Remember, the way you get better at anything is by practicing. Many of the activities on your list on a daily basis could be grouped, and by grouping them, thus, will save you time. How many times have you made it to the grocery store when the dry cleaners was there and thought to yourself, oh, I forgot to bring the dry cleaning because you didn't have it on your list? The next time management idea is technology, and technology is the ultimate leverage. Some examples of how you can use technology are the internet, a website, email, Palm Pilot, software, cell phone. How can you use technology to increase your efficiency? Begin to focus on ways that you can more effectively use technology to increase results. The next idea is focus on completion versus perfection. Perfection is one of the biggest reasons that people give for lack of action and lack of results. If you want to become a master of time management, you will need to master this principle. By focusing on completion, I take 10 times more action than I would if I focused on perfection. Once it's complete, you can always go back and improve it. And I want to share a powerful story to illustrate this point. A few years ago, I was hired by an organization to do some high-level telemarketing. The company was an internet company, and what they were doing is taking book and tape content, like content from this audio program, and they were creating online web seminars. And so they needed somebody to phone call people like Anthony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Robert Allen, Tony Alessandra, Jim Rohn, all of the top content providers, the top speakers and authors in the world, and talk to them about getting the rights to their book and tape content and putting it on this website. And so the president of the company happened to be a business partner and friend of mine, and he asked me if I would be willing to do this high-level telemarketing for him, and I agreed to do it. And he said, great. And I immediately told him, I said, now listen, the president's name was Andrew. I said, Andrew, as soon as I start calling these people, here's what they're going to say to me. Eric, could you send me some information? So we need an information fax piece. Do you have an information fax piece? And he said, well, no, I don't. And I said, okay, well, we'll need to create one. And he says, can you create it? I said, well, I can try. I'm not an expert at direct mail copy, but I could try. He says, well, Eric, why don't you go ahead and do it? So I agreed to do it. And I created the marketing piece. And sure enough, I started making these phone calls. And they would say, well, can you send me some information? And I had the fax piece, so I faxed it out. And Andrew was on the phone with Robert Allen, and he was talking to Robert Allen about being one of the content providers. And so Robert Allen, sure enough, said, well, Andrew, it sounds very interesting. Could you send me some information? So Andrew sent over my fax piece. A few days later, Andrew got a call from Robert Allen. He said, Andrew, I need to tell you, I'm very interested in this proposal, but I need to ask you a question. Andrew says, sure, what is it? Who wrote this fax piece? Andrew says, well, I hired this guy, Eric Lofholm. He's doing a lot of the phone work for us, and he was the one who wrote the piece. He's all, Andrew, I got to be honest with you. This fax piece is absolute junk. Andrew says, okay. He says, Andrew, listen, you tell Eric to give me a call so I can help him fix it. Now, when I heard later about the story, I thought to myself, well, how bad could the fax piece have been? It caused Robert Allen to take action. But anyway, but I'm in agreement. It wasn't a very good fax piece. So I called Robert Allen up. And Robert Allen did 2 one-hour coaching sessions with me. Now, Robert is one of the top information marketers in the world today. He's a true master at direct mail copy. And I received for free 2 one-hour sessions of incredible coaching from Robert Allen. And Robert Allen is now a business partner of mine. The big event that I had back on October 15th, we had 1,250 participants. Robert Allen was one of the speakers. And again, in January, he's going to come back and again be a featured speaker. If I had focused on perfecting the marketing piece, the fax piece, I'll be honest with you, it never would have gotten done. When I started my company 4 years ago, I taught my very first seminar ever, and I knew how to promote seminars. I had been doing that job for 3 years for Anthony Robbins. And when I started my business, sure enough, I was effectively promoting my seminar. I sold 100 tickets to my very first seminar ever. And then it got a week before the program, and I was like, what am I going to say in the seminar? I've never done a seminar before. And my point is this. If I had waited for my seminar to be perfect, I never would have started the company in the first place, because it never would have been perfect. Focus on completion versus perfection. And if you're a perfectionist, this message is probably the most important message of the entire program, because it will cause you to take more action. And action is the number one key to all success and all achievement. The next time management idea is this: everything counts. I first learned this concept from Gary Blair. Gary wrote a book called Everything Counts. And by the way, I highly endorse that book. It's less than $10 at goalsguy.com. The most valuable idea in the book to me was the title. One of the reasons I found why people don't take action is that they feel that their action won't make a difference. For example, somebody might think, there's only 5 minutes left in my call shift. Why make 3 more calls? They won't make a difference. Or somebody's on a diet and they choose to have a slice of chocolate cake. Their reason? It won't matter. Or why plan my day today? It's only one day. The reason why you make the 3 calls, you don't eat the chocolate cake, and you plan your day is everything counts. Every phone call, every exercise, every time you play in your day, every seminar, every time you listen to this audio program. Why listen to this program 7 times through? Because every time you listen, it counts. I want to share this with you. There's one audio tape. It's an interview that Anthony Robbins did with Jay Abraham. It's my favorite audio tape. It's an incredible tape on marketing. I've listened to that audio 27 times. So, Eric, why would you listen to it 27 times? It's the same information. Because every time I listen to it, I learn something a little bit new. It is burned into my subconscious a little bit more. Everything counts. The difference between winning and losing sometimes comes down to the smallest things. I call this a slight edge. Everything counts. I have questioned whether or not I should do something, like in the examples I just mentioned. And then I think, everything counts. I have taken action on over 500 different things from that little thought popping into my head. Should I do this or should I not? Well, I don't know. It's not really going to matter. And immediately my mind says, everything counts. And then I take the action. Always remember, everything counts. Now the idea has been loaded into your subconscious, and it will be there for you to use anytime that you need it. The next time management idea is to study time management. As I mentioned earlier, time management is a learned skill. One of the best ways to learn is to study. 2 great ways to study, in addition to listening to audio programs, are to attend live seminars and read books. Here are a couple of books that I highly recommend. The first book is called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. It's 21 of Brian Tracy's best time management ideas. The next book is The Time Trap by Alec McKenzie. The final book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. The next time management idea is purpose. One of my favorite quotes from Jim Rohn is this: "It's easy to pay the price when the promise is clear." It's easy to pay the price when the promise is clear. What is your clear promise for improving your time management? Being able to answer that question is the most important answer that you could come up with from this entire program. Why must you improve in the area of time management? The next time management idea is time management beliefs. Beliefs are important because they influence behavior. Beliefs do not create results, though. Results are created by action. You have time management beliefs. Most people that I meet have negative beliefs when it comes to time management. If you believe that you're not good at time management, you will take actions that are consistent with this belief. For example, would a person who's not good at time management consistently plan their day? And the obvious answer is no. One of the purposes of your subconscious is to keep you consistent with your identity. And one of my favorite stories to illustrate this point is the story about the scorpion and the frog. And the scorpion is on the bank of a river with the frog, and the scorpion wants to get to the other side of the river. The scorpion can't swim. So the scorpion goes up to the frog and he says, "Mr. Frog, can I get on your back and will you swim with me take me to the other side of the river?" And the frog says, "No, I won't do that." The scorpion says, "Well, why not?" And the frog says, "Well, the reason why I won't take you over there, Mr. Scorpion, is because scorpions sting frogs, and I don't want you to kill me." Now, the scorpion is a very persuasive scorpion. In fact, the scorpion has been to the Advanced Sales Mastery Boot Camp that Dr. Moyne and I teach, and he influences the frog to take him to the other side of the river. And they get about halfway across the river, and wouldn't you know it, the scorpion stings the frog. And the frog begins to drown. He looks up at the scorpion, and he says, "Why did you sting me? We're both going to be killed." And the scorpion looks down at the frog and he says, "Mr. Frog, the reason that I stung you is because that's what scorpions do. They sting frogs." You see, even though it meant death, the scorpion stung the frog. That's how powerful identity is. So your self-picture of yourself, your image of yourself, your belief about yourself in the area of time management is driving your behavior on a subconscious level. Remember I stated earlier, change begins in language. Instead of telling yourself you're not good at time management, tell yourself each day, I'm getting better and better at time management. And if you really want to go for it, make a decision to affirm that you are a master of time management.